hidden, forgotten. This is Harbor Town. Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scene. Unique, flexible, and playable, Harbor Town will take your games to a new destination.
So, Mark, going on, man?
Not too much. How's it going?
Good. It's awesome, dude. How was your weekend so far?
Pretty uneventful.
It's always a good thing.
We didn't really do much of anything.
There's nothing wrong with that, man.
Yeah, just cleaned up the camper mostly. So, that's about it. How about you?
You know, some 4th of July festivities. Had some people over. Had Steve and CG here.
Well, that's good.
Here, let's do it again since we got 4 minutes. Whoops, wrong button. I hit the wrong button there.
Yeah.
Tonight, Taco's going to be a good one. We're going to go a different direction than, I'll talk about that. About Legends and Lore, which is kind of funny. But, you know, I gotta push that Reaper thing out here. Yeah, so you got... one of those 5 isn't really a Greyhawk deity, but it is for us. But we're going to talk about 7 tonight.
Hey, Jay, real quick, can you resend attachments?
Oh, it didn't go?
I didn't get the attachment.
I didn't send it.
You didn't send the attachment.
I'm not that smart. One sec. Oh my gosh. I did send it without the attachment. Duh! Oh my god.
So good.
Well, I'm glad you caught that.
Well, you would start referring to your notes. I'd be like, what notes?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh. That was dumb. That wasn't too smart. What's up, Duff? Oh, alright, so, yeah, there's stuff all over the place. Yeah, notice I had to unboob out the Leviator picture.
Yeah.
I don't want to get a 30-day ban, so I had to like neuter her up at the chest area in that picture. Boy, you do what you have to do, guys, right? So, absolutely, yes.
That's funny.
We're gonna, yeah, well, let me see what we got. We got 2 minutes. I'll come on a minute early, man. I'll come on at 7:29. We'll talk about some of this fun stuff here. Tim didn't respond. Tim may be away on vacation.
That's
So-
entirely possible.
Yeah, I think he is. I think he mentioned that to me, and I didn't hear it. And I know Bill went to Great Adventure with his son, so he probably wouldn't be back in time. So
Oh, good.
yeah, man, yeah, it's gonna be another good discussion, and we got a lot of cool announcements coming up. Dorgrim, you're right. There's a lot that will get you banned, and I am not taking any chances. So, especially with the role that we're on here. So here we go. I'll come on. Also, everyone knows the last couple broadcasts, my computer's frozen on me. This brand new i9-9900, i9-9900 K I got with a 2800 GTX video card in it, and I think it was XSplit, and XSplit sent out an update over the weekend, thank God, on that. So, yeah, that's cool. So, hello, everyone. Welcome again. I'm Jay Kaler Kazamba. I got DM Marco with me tonight. We're going to have a blast on this one. And there's Jeff. Jeff, all right, everyone, let's clap for Jeff. Jeff just made affiliate.
Congratulations,
Jeff got 10 subscribers today. 10, at least. So that was awesome. Yeah, so I'll do this now, and I'll do it at the end of the show. Jeff's doing his painting online in the mold of Jimmy the Brush and some of the other guys. What's up, Gitano? Great to see you on. And so Jacob Jansen is the channel. Jeff has always been one of our first hardcore supporters. So please go and give him a follow. Check him out. Paint jobs are great. He's got 2 3D printers running at the same time too.
Yeah. And he made affiliate status.
Yes, that's what I mean. After he got 10 subs,
Yeah.
10
Yep.
subs today. So that's awesome. So we're gonna have fun tonight. This one, all right. So a lot of you are Legends and Lore people too, and they're gonna be like, "What? They're doing the same show." First off, our show was planned weeks in advance, so we had our set first, but that's minor. I'm just joking there. So they did Evil Deities as well. We're gonna do a little different angle. We're gonna do this as it pertains to our campaign, and also our customized specialty priest classes we have, so that you'll get a feel of how you can create like a great nemesis against your, especially if you're DMing against your players, and that's always a good thing, right? So I looked back into our records. Who was the first deity that we were against early on, Mark, that you can remember?
Oh, deity, or are we talking about if we talk about special entities, I would say Despater.
Right. I'm talking about, and that's true. That was Monty Hall Day.
But that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Just
with clerics, with priests. And they may not have been specialty priests back then. I mean, they may have had some abilities out of, and I got my handy dandy I use my books as the background.
Yep.
Greyhawk Deities, and you guys all get the idea. This is not a 144. My 144 edition of this is locked away. So this is my one of my 128s. Okay, so. But this is the first book where you had any. This is before Greyhawk Deities were even out, right? So,
and since it's the 128, then we can say, or 124, we can say, Haster.
Yes, 3 times, absolutely. But
no, to answer your question, the earliest recollection I have would probably be Leviathan.
Bingo. Okay, so. When you're playing and it's 1980, 81, 82, pre-even Unearthed Arcana, what year did this come out? This come out in 80? 80?
Yeah. Somewhere around there, 80 or 81.
Yeah, it's... My gosh, I don't even see it here. It's either 80 or 81, I believe. That's your reference for Deities. So, December of 80, that's what... Yeah, Grendel, thanks, man. So, that's what we were using, and then we had dungeon magazines. There were still dungeon magazines and dragon magazines out, and there were no articles at all on St. Cuthbert. You knew who St. Cuthbert was because of some modules. You didn't really, and you know who Iosias was. You didn't know about all the other ones, really. You didn't know about Paylord, Ral, all these. So, Carl Glittergold. That is funny, Tigris Morte, because I'll show you, we do have a specialty priest made up of, there is a specific gnome one we have, per Mark's request.
Yep.
So Leviator came out, in that era, and the Dark Brotherhood was, and we discussed this a little while ago, was in that adventure, the Crypts of Istaris, in like Dungeon 10. And I was like, I ran with that, and it was Heisey, which is another Finnish deity, the god of evil, and Leviator. Now, if you look in Forgotten Realms, Leviator, Myliki, Ilmater are all regular Forgotten Realms deities, and they're right out of the Finnish mythos. They have Sylvanus, which is a Celtic deity, right out of this book. So Forgotten Realms pilfers right from here. So we're going to talk about Leviator tonight. It's one of them, and that's probably the only one out of the deities in Gabbin's book I would say is an evil and NPC specialty priest that we have.
Yep. And you honestly did have all the ones out of the Greyhawk Pantheon. We just didn't spend a lot of attention to them, because you had to have the glossography. You have to have the box set in order to be able to get it, and not all of us could afford it at the time. Kids. So we couldn't afford it at the time, but we all knew an adult or somebody that had a copy of Deities and Demigods, and so it was fairly common for us to use that as the reference to move forward with Deities. And once again, specialty priests and so forth didn't really make a difference at that point because all that we had were clerics and druids.
Right, and this is
clerics.
especially when second edition came out. The number one thing I loved was specialty priests in second edition, and we use it to this day. So I'm going to go over, and we did this in our first delving series, which we did delving into specialty priests, was hugely popular. It's old. I think it's 26 or 29. It's up on the YouTube mirror. I'm going to go over a couple of some of that stuff again, but we didn't touch the evil ones at all, the deities in that one, and that's why I wanted to do this one, because I wanted to talk about, these are all campaign specific. There is a specialty priest class made of them. 6 of these 7 are in the purple book, which means do not touch. This is not a player character. This is an NPC specialty priest book. Now, one of them out of the 7 we're going to discuss tonight is in the specialty priest book. Look how thick this freaking thing is in this one. One of the 7 is actually able to be played as a player character. So we'll discuss a lot of those evil ones tonight, and they're rotating through. And what I did is I put the deity picture up, then any specific references to any pictures I had on deity, on specialty priests situations or anything cool, rotating the 7. So you probably get to know who the 7 are right there. So if you go to this, and this is our permitted classes and races, all right, this is all the classes we have in our campaign, 1E, 2E, all custom rules. You come down to here, after Clark, Priest, SP, Specialty Priest, it's right here. Almost every single race, except for, I think, Wild Elves is the only one that can't, right? So half orcs, half ogres even, in certain instances, halflings, dwarves, elves, they all can at least be a specialty priest of some sort, depending on the deity. So take that list and then go to this list. This is our specialty priest listing. There's 38 completed specialty priests, and each one's a class into itself. I know, guys, I got a lot of time on my hands. So, I mean, and like I said, this has been happening since second edition came out. The ones, yellow highlights, are the 7 we're going to go over. Most of them have this little asterisk next to them, meaning it's NPC only. So that's the listing of the priests. So if we want to go to the gnome, you go gnome here. Our gnome is Flandel Steelskin.
Yes.
Yes. So Tigress, yeah, that's
Ali Swizzle Stick.
Yes, Flandel Steelskin is the one gnome specialty priest class that I worked up. So but that average less than 1 a year, Will? Not really, because when did second edition come out? 90, 89, 90?
Yeah.
And Mark, I'll tell you the rules. Here are the rules. When we do a new group of firsts, so we just did one last winter with this, the group Winchester's Bulwark, the one we're playing now, the Bloody Brethren, the ones we're playing in the Hidden Temple of Earthnell right now. I allow them, whoever jumps on it first, I want to play a specialty priest of this, and then I will do it. I will make it up. So 1 every time we do a new first, I'll do 1, and it's got to be a legitimate one too. This time I did Earthnell, because I didn't have it. I knew we were going to do a whole bunch of content on Earthnell, so I actually made.
You actually did 2.
Because
you're forgetting the obvious one. That's a player character for that.
Oh my gosh!
Which is also a gnome.
Ula. I did, Mark. You're right. I did Ula. Oh yeah. How could I? And Ula is a major deity in Greyhawk that gets overlooked a lot. Thanks, Mark. Yeah, I'm 52. Sorry on that. Ula is a great one, and we just found a major ability that Ula gets dig early, and dig that's a nasty spell. So so that's where we are with this list. Now, what I'm going to do is guys, like I said, we always share our information here. So I know Rox takes advantage of this. I'd be more than happy to share any of the stuff that I show tonight. Okay, we're not picky on holding on to it. That's part of having these shows. Sprocket, get off my lawn. There's Jeff. Jeff's new channel hosting us. Thank you so very much, man. Appreciate it. As he just got his affiliate status. That's awesome. So Where do we begin? I don't want to start with Leviathan because that's the one that's really not Greyhawk.
So why don't we start off with a trivia question? Give out of the top 30.
Okay.
What was the very first specialty priest that we adopted?
That's a great question.
Do you even know?
It's
I have a guess. I can't say I know either, but I have a guess.
I think it's not Alana, even though that would be the obvious answer. I'm going to say Solanor Philandera.
I was going to go with Uko.
I didn't, but I don't know if I created that priest right away. I think I went with, I think it was Solanor actually, the Elven God of Archery. I'm just thinking that way because remember I have 3 NPCs that have it. That's a good question. Thor and Odin never, and I know they're the first 2 deities that were in Greyhawk in Gary's campaign, but no, he did not. Yeah.
In fact, I don't think we have any. For as much as we take on Norse mythos, I don't think we have any specialty priests of Norse.
We don't. We don't.
Everything that we did was really around
Finnish. I like because I like the Finnish mythology, and it fit in with the Dark Brotherhood theme that we were doing early on. So, guys, feel free as once to ask questions. I want to put it out there so for some guys who have been subscribing for a certain amount of time. I usually look for 4, 5, 6 months. I keep on adding you in. Remember, I have a ton of VIPs, so I added in some of you got some VIP badges coming. Some more will be getting some shortly. Okay, so please note that I've been generous on the VIP badges because I have 50 to give out. So just note some more of our viewing audience got a couple more that have been with us about 6 months. Yeah, that's a tough call, Mark. I want to say it's Solanor. I think that was the first one I made up. I'm looking through the list. Wow, that's a great question.
Is a really cool one. Which,
absolutely is a good one for PCs. And Tritharian's very popular. There's a lot of them that are more popular than others. Some of them rarely get played, but that's why I want to make it. When I make a new one up, you got to play it. It's got to be someone who's requesting to play it at the time. All right, so let's talk about some evil deities, and then I'm going to go over the references that I did to make it up, and then we'll talk about some of the spells and all. Let's start right with the one that's up now, Hexter. How about we start with Hexter tonight? I'll flip right back through. Hexter is Heronius' brother, right? Yeah, Uko is Finnish, man. Uko is a Finnish deity. We do use a lot of Finnish. Uko is the Winchester's go-to deity, guys.
Which is why I thought that was the first.
Yeah, one. I don't think it was. I don't think I created that one right away. I think I waited on that one because I had to do it from a spell list. I'm almost positive that wasn't one of the first ones. Because this is how you do it. The most important book, I'm going to scan through that the first, is the Player's Option 2nd edition book. And that's this one right here. This gives you all the actual spheres. So when you get onto a deity and Hexter, when you get onto a deity here, this comes out of the reference book that this is, and you notice you have your major and your minor, lesser spheres, your major and minor. Minors you can only cast up to the spell of that sphere at 3rd level, and then major you can go all the way up to 7th cast. So you have your different spheres, whether it's necromantic, combat, elemental, or whatever, and that reference, and that's the 2nd page. That's the big thing. To use is that reference because it has all of them broken down by sphere, and it's very difficult if you don't have that book. You really need that book. I need it to make it. So Hexter was easy though. It really was. I had to create the spell list because, and I've talked about this book before, the Bastion of Faith book. Okay. All right, so this book is one of those generic 2E books. Now, someone thought they were really funny. I mentioned this before, but they put Mel Gibson on the front cover. It is. Look at it. It's freaking Mel Gibson.
It's Mel Gibson.
It's Mel Gibson on the front of that book. So this is generic setting, but it goes over both Hexter and Heronius in here. And so it was easy for us to jump to do the Hexter as well because the listing is right here with all the abilities. Now, some cool things about Hexter, Hexter and Heronius were like twins, and one went the evil path, and one went the path of the paladin, and one went kind of the evil path. Well, Bill has convinced me to allow him to PC Hexter in a lawful neutral with a kind of an evil tendency aspect. Hey, Anna. So, and Hexter's a big deity in the Great Kingdom. It's not a huge deity in a lot of other places as much, but there is some pockets here and there. So, and according to the rules here, you can multi-class, especially Priest of Hexter, into thieves or assassins. So, of course, since everyone says Bill's the pet, I always give in to him, right? And he has
No, we didn't say you give in to him. We just know.
He has a multi-class half-orc, and right on the list here, we go to Hextor, and he is multi-class half-orc named Morkant. Was it Morkant Darkblade?
Yep.
He's both a special piece of Hexter assassin. He's in one of the groups in Harby, and he doesn't abuse the character. The character's kind of underpowered, actually, a little bit.
It's actually a fun character.
Yeah, it's a fun character. So, and that's the only one we have in the entire campaign that's a specialty priest of Hexter, and so I allow a lawful neutral aspect to it, and that's why I have down here under Hexter, I have Hexter's actually lawful evil, lawful neutral, and alignment. So it's a cool one because of the battle arms spell. So if you know anything about Hexter, he's got multiple arms. And they actually have they priests have a spell, and it is one of the coolest spells in the game there is. Once again, I got some really cool stuff in these picture-wise. All right, so there's Hendred Blerid. Does anyone know the Slavers reference? He's in there. He's this priest of Hexter. He's the one out of the town of Wyvernon that is protecting that town from the humanoids from the Pomarge areas and the southern wild coast. He's lawful evil. And the town only has like 150 people in it, but it stops every attack. It's right in the Slavers reference. And he whips them up into a frenzy and cheers. They're going to paint the town walls red with orc blood. And so they've been holding out. So you also have a group of evil gnomes helping him there, which is kind of funny. So Hexter, 4th level spell. So it means you get it at 7th level. Here's an example of a unique spell just to Hexter called Battle Arms. Combat sphere, duration's 1 round per level. Priests, all right, so by any means of the spell, the priest can create additional limbs from his or her upper torso, known as battle arms. Priests of less than 10th may create 2. In addition, normal complement, while priests of 11th may create 4. So you look like a 6-armed Sahagwin prince almost, and they're fully functional. 2 arms, 6 arms at 11th level. Really cool effect, just like in the guise of Hexter himself. So. And that spell is right in the Bastion of Faith, along with a ton of stuff on Heronius. So it's a must go. It's a must go to for those 2 deities.
And we should say as well that we treat those special spells as more of an innate ability, not necessarily the ability to cast the spell. Although you can do that too.
Well, they get at 9th level. Now, remember, specialty priests, if anyone knows how they work, they get innate abilities. So at 9th level, they get battle arms, but they can cast it at 7th, so they can take it as 7th level spell. But they get it as an innate ability at 9th.
Right, but that's what I mean, though. Is that in many cases you got to take a look at the special abilities that they actually get, and if you read into the rules, it says that they can cast that spell. We treat that as an innate ability, not because of what the spell level actually is. So it's just more of a heads up for everybody.
Definitely, absolutely. It is what we try and do is flavor up our specialty priests so that they're unique. And when you come across a priest, I love a priest of Hexter, you're going to know it because no other has that. No other priest has these spells that are in these special areas, and there's certain references like the prayers from the faithful, which I'm going to show soon, has some Leviathan spells in it. But some other abilities they get at 8th level, they get 3 attacks every 2 rounds. So we have certain combat specialty priests in our campaign: Tritherian, Heronius, and Hexter, Uko, a couple others. They get 3 every 2 at 8th. And at 13th, they actually get 2 every 1. Now, that's a very limited number of specialty priests per the abilities. So when they only say like fighter classes get multiple attacks, it's not necessarily true in this case. But Hexter's really not a major bane to our campaign, right, Mark? It's not a one that they're fighting against, because we're not based out of, we don't do anything in the Great Kingdom, Nairon, very rarely, Northern Southern Province, nothing. Iron Gate, very, very rarely.
We see a little bit of it because of the Heronius worshippers in the Shieldlands, as far as having like a nemesis, but it's very,
Thank you, Goik. Now, that wasn't even me on that one. Ting, hitting up. Thank you so very much. We appreciate it.
I don't think it's Goik now. I think it's Go I Know.
Go I Know. Yeah. Woo! There's Jay again. See, I am. I might have had some minor fissure strokes over the weekend, so sorry about that. But thank you, Go I Know. Appreciate it. So this is the one that out of the 7 that can be player charactered in our campaign, with a permission, of course, and is not a true evil nemesis, but is an evil deity, and most of them would be evil. You can't play an evil player. You couldn't be the special priest of an evil alignment. You have to go with the neutral aspect in this case.
Yep.
So that's the first one of 7. And like I said, guys, if you have any questions, please throw them out there. Want to go over, there's going to be some that you're going to go, why don't you have? And like I know a big one that was discussed Wednesday night, Legends Lore, was Incabulous. It's just that deity has not come up. It's come up in a one-off. Like we had one where there was in Shelaton, I believe, in the Welkwood, there was all these elves dying, but it was a one-off, right? And there was a priest of Incabulous in there. But it wasn't a reoccurring nemesis, like a whole campaign thing. It was, a one adventure. So we try and keep these. Absolutely, Dorgum. That's it. We make them. I make them when I need them. Last one I needed was a Ruthnol for this whole campaign. That is a picture up right now, and her name, that female standing there in defense, was Pox. Remember that, Mark? When all the with all the they're trying to fix the wall at Winchester's Bulwark, and she was a low-level piece of Earthnol. Why don't we go there next, since we're talking on that one?
Yep.
All right. I'm gonna
adventure set in there too.
Excuse. All right. So I'm gonna slow these pictures down a little bit too when I get to the top. Let me slow it down right here. I'm gonna make them a minute. Okay. All right, I'll start there. So you have all your deities now. Bill came up with this idea when we're starting the new first. Rocks, sure, absolutely. I'll send you that stuff. When we're doing the new first, he came up with this idea of this army that came out of the Sus, and no one knew about it, and they started attacking the keeps all along the Jewel. And that's when we last September did this big invasion of Winchester's Bulwark before I even had the stratagem underlays. That's how long ago that was. And then we did the whole winter scene where they were building up and doing all the new low-level firsts were all there, and it was all, I didn't have a specialty priest for Erethnal at that point, and I needed one, so I created the Erethnal specialty priest. Now this one, some of these sometimes get different or difficult. The starting references for Erethnal, and there's a nice picture of him. He looks really happy, doesn't he? Is Greyhawk Deities, Greyhawk, right? Adventures, and my Peace from the Ashes. Like, look at this. All right. What a mess this is. So, and I got some notes in here, and that's my starting point for this deity. Erethnal, the many, the god of slaughter. Right, is worshipped. Erethnal is the power of capricious malice, envy, hatred, and fearful panic. So it's a chaotic evil deity, obviously. Gnolls, bugbears, ogres, and we've seen a lot of them already. Well, I've seen 2 of them already in the hidden temple of Erethnal that we're running. So that army came out. I needed an Erethnal specialty priest right off the bat, and they have come across. And I have a lot of specialty priests that were humanoids in this case. There she is now. This is the one case of a couple. She was 3rd level, and she fought the hell out of that group. I mean, there's death all around her, and there's three player characters around that specialty priest of Erythnol fighting at the wall at Winchester's Bulwark, which is being repaired. And that adventure occurred. When did that happen, Mark? January or February, right? We did that one
Yeah.
roughly.
Yep.
So Erythnol is a cool deity when it comes to panic and effects, but they don't have many special abilities. Now this is hybridized from a couple. Maybe you should add some. They got a great ability at 9th level. It would scare the shit out of anyone. Erythnol, Erythnul, Erythnol. It's a old school Greyhawk deity.
Yeah.
Erythnul. What's that?
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't we also have Erythnol in with the Iron Brigade when we did the Castle Greyhawk ruins of Greyhawk?
What? No, I'm gonna tell you where we had one. Okay, and you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh about this. If you remember, now this I've talked about this 100 times. Salen made me do it, where Salen puts the crown on and becomes the evil megalomaniac. Karain Mandare, who's in Old Mother Grubs, is especially priestess of Erythnol. And she would always talk to Salen about, I'm there for you when you need me to be. Remember, I said that for years. She was a priestess of Erythnol. So, and I think she was either doubled up as a bartender or barmaid or whatever. So, I mean, that may be what you're thinking of.
No, I'm thinking of something that I thought that we encountered, and it was like underground, and there was an obsidian. It wasn't a pyramid. It was a almost like the Washington Monument. I'm forgetting what the obelisk. That belonged to Erythrol. Something to that degree. I don't know. We can talk about it after.
It's very possible, Mark. It's very possible. But Old Mother Grubs played a key part in our campaign with, and this is our first sighting of Erythnol. And if you guys all know from the Ashes, it says that a paladin, when a paladin got killed in there, and his friends came looking for him. For us, what happened was that adventure where Salen became the megalomaniac. They got lured into there, and then all the vampires, half vampires, came out, and the Iron Brigade destroyed that place afterwards. So, in a net effect, Old Mother Grubs got destroyed in our campaign during an actual adventure I ran, which is kind of cool. Yes. Is there some campaign we did twice by mistake, Lenders? That's a good question. There's adventures I run twice. Have I run something and then go, oh my God, I ran that? Yes. Especially before I really looked into the log well and had a search engine. And because remember, when we started out using a Commodore 64 to log things, you couldn't do like word searches. So there's a couple, like I may have run a dungeon module twice or something. Nothing super major. That's a really good question though. Yeah, absolutely. So, cool, Dorgum. I mean, I loved Old Mother Grubs. I hate destroying it, but in the course of gameplay, you have to sometimes move on from something. And whether that's an NPC you kill off permanently or a PC that you kill off, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Taco, thank you so very much.
Actually, I had the fun of using it in the opposite direction with the real Michael Baton by taking one of his characters and getting sold into the being turned into a zombie and being sold into the street cleaners.
Absolutely. I really, the campaign is so old that there's stuff that we don't even remember and someone else will remember. And one of the reasons I love doing the show is that it brings back memories like that, right? Something that's so funny like that. Erythnol, that's where we first saw Erythnol. Mark may be correct on the other adventure. Erythnol turned into be a major thorn in the side in this whole campaign of New First that we started. That now the characters are 3rd and 4th, but, and I'll say this, they were not the main force behind the entire they were not the smarts behind it, and they were being used. And if you all remember when we did the Defense of the Watchers Towers, you found that out. And that'll be the next deity we go to, and I'll explain to you what we did. But here's see this 9th level. Listen to this ability. Tell me you would not want to have this ability as a character. Weapon gains wounding effect once per day, 1 round per level.
Yeah, that's not going to be nice.
That is disgusting. So to make any kind of weapon, whatever you have, a hammer, sword, it doesn't matter. It's a Priest of Earthnol, and you make it into a weapon of wounding once per day, that's pretty gross. Because everyone knows every time you hit with that, they bleed 1 point for the next 10 rounds, and it accumulates and stacks based on hits. Nasty, nasty, nasty ability. Absolutely. I got one more here I got to get to. So I'll get us up to date at 1228 there. All right. Chaotic evil deities are they turn undead at level -4, so their undead abilities aren't that good. They have no healing, so they have healing reversed, necromantic reversed, sun reversed. They can't raise the dead. They can't heal. Kind of like he is priest too. Earthnol cannot do healing. The spell list is really kind of crappy, but that's the way it goes sometimes in the spheres. I'll say this. Hey, Chuck from Babunski's coming up with a host too. Thanks, Chuck. If you take a look at the spheres in all these references for Greyhawk, and then you go to this book, and we're going to talk about this shortly, in Forgotten Realms, once again, everything is supercharged and overdone in Forgotten Realms, and that's one of the reasons why I love Greyhawk compared to this. They use double the number spheres. It's insane how many spheres they get in this, and I think it takes away from the flavor of the specialty priests in Forgotten Realms because they all have all the spells. So we can talk about. We're going to talk about that.
That is a really, really great reference manual, though, too.
Yes, it is. It is, because we're going to use it right now.
Yeah,
we're going to use it. So Earthnol is still going to be a bane. We're doing the Hidden Temple of Earthnol now. Chuck, awesome to see you, man. And they're going to fight a Tim-abused specialty priest very shortly if you tune in Thursday night. And everyone knows what a Tim-abused specialty priest is. Tell them, Mark, if you don't already know.
Sure. So in first edition, obviously, it started off with doing dual class humans. And Tim's abuse was he would have a fighter that would start off being double specialized with a weapon first level, gaining +3 to hit, +3 in damage. And then secondarily would change over to being another class right after his first adventure.
Right.
So you gain all those abilities, basically at second level, and being able to get 3 attacks every 2 rounds and automatically +3 to hit and +3 damage.
I think we're chunking online.
Yep, just a little bit. And then in typical Tim abuse too, every fighter's got 18 something strength. So
yeah.
They're going to also be real nasty that way too.
Are we still there with everyone?
I think so.
All right, we chunked a little bit. Okay, yeah, we chunked a hair there. So sorry about that. All right, do it again, Mark. So it's the Tim abuse we talked about last week, but we'll go over it again. Sorry about that. So
basically, it's a fighter, human fighter, first level. Generally has 18/something strength, double specialized in some sort of weapon, so he's automatically +3/+3. Right after his first adventure, he goes and becomes a dual class into something else. So he either becomes a mage or a specialty priest or something to that degree, and then still attacks. Now, unfortunately, still attacks as a first level fighter going forward, but is gets to be pretty nasty as far as fighting ability is concerned. A lot of pluses and damage.
And it's legal in the rules for 1E, 2E.
Yep.
So
legal.
Yes. So they're going to come across one of those that was written in the Hidden Temple of Earthnol, and I'm sorry I ruined it but they already know.
Yeah.
So it's definitely it's a great fighter with especially priest abilities because it's a human that's dual class. So they're going to come up on one Thursday, and that's going to be a nasty person to face. So Chuck, glad to see you on too, man. Thank you so very much. So So Arifnal is a great one with that ability, but behind us in the adventure Defense of the Watchers Towers, I brought back an old nemesis that I hadn't used in 25 years, and that was the Priest of Leviator, Holly, and the Dark Brotherhood. So we're gonna flip to. Oh, I just went by her, but that's my Holly picture, and then the other one's Hattie the Sadistic, who they killed. They didn't fight Holly, but they got Hattie the Sadistic still. They got rid of her, and they had come across her in a previous fight, but they took her out. So Leviator is the next one I want to talk about, and Leviator is obviously out of here to start. It's out of Deities and Demigods. Finished deity. I love Maiden of Pain. Is there anything better than that? The Mistress of Hurt, the Maiden of Pain. It's a great name. I mean, you got to think about that. It's awesome. And what I found cool was Forgotten Realms has no qualms about ripping off deities from the Deities and Demigods. So if you go to, and I got two books here, and Chuck says he uses them all the time. The Faith and Avatars book, and you go in, and there's a whole section on Leviator. Now, it's so overpowered. The spell list is crazy because of all the spheres. What page is this on here? 100. All right. So you already have Leviator done up. And there you go. You got your Specialty Priestess of Leviator here. So some of the abilities they get a pain touch. They get all sorts of nutty stuff. They got Wailing Whips, Leviator's Caress, Whip of Pain, Kiss of Torment. It all sounds pretty good, doesn't it? And they are all about inflicting pain on others. They have a spell, Leviator's Caress, which makes a touch spell and a range spell. I use this on the party a couple times. So you don't have to make it a touch. The range becomes 10 yards per level, and that's a long way out for a 10th level priest. That's 300 yards. That's 300 feet. In our game, that's 30 inches on our table. So, it's cool. It's really a cool effect. But there's some good spells in here. But this is the other book, Forgotten Realms, that I pull from all the time. It's called Prayers from the Faithful. Now, there's a mage equivalent of this.
Yep, Pages from the Mages.
Thank you very much, Mark. I couldn't remember that again because I'm going senile. There's names of books or compilations of books that are out there, like kind of like magic items. And the Tome of Torment is that's Elmater. Sorry, Leviator, Lash of Leviator, page 44. So we're going to take this, and in addition to all the spheres of spells, we're going to add the Lash of Leviator, right there. We're going to take this reference here, and we're going to add in all these other spells. Body Blades, which is nasty. Sacred Strike, and a couple others on the next page. Loving Pain and Wailing Whips. Beautiful. This Wailing Whip spell is disgusting. All right, so let me read this one. Wailing Whips, 9th level 5. So you have to be 9th level. That's it, Chuck. Second edition. I love Specialty Priests more than anything. Love them. Absolutely, I love them. It's my number one thing out of it. All right, Wailing Whips. Duration's only 4 rounds, but listen to this: 30-foot diameter sphere. This fills a sphere with glowing whips of force that fly about. The spell can creatures in contact with the sphere are slashed for 4d6 points of damage per round. So it doesn't go anywhere. So there's whips flowing in that whole 30 foot. So if you got someone held, or you got someone who's down, and you want to really, take them out, this is a great spell to do it. If you want to do a spell that hey, everyone's got fire resistance and so on, well, there's not going to be any resistance to this spell. It's a great one, and the range is 30 yards, so you got 90 foot out on this casting. That's 9 inches out in our game. So cool thing. So with us, Leviator. So Mark, tell us a couple instances. And it doesn't have to be just with the Dark Brotherhood and Holly and that you remember from way back or recently.
Oh God. Oh, it all kind of molds together. The biggest thing that I remember, obviously, about the Priestess of Leviathan is just the sadistic way that Jay uses her, which is really what it should be. I mean, Leviathan as the Maiden of Pain is intended to be a very, just like you think Loki is chaotic, she is extraordinarily evil and uncaring. It just is a
Leviathan is lawful evil in our camp.
it's almost
Lawful
like a
evil.
thing of beauty, if you wish. It's just to be, because it's so pure in how cruel that Jay can actually play Holly. Just her attitude about stuff,
Yeah.
taking no guff off of anybody for it. The spells, like Jay mentioned, are really nasty, and we're fortunate we don't run into Holly very often. But when we have,
Yeah.
it is it's usually, we don't get TPKs, but it's pretty close.
So Taco asks, how did you integrate her in your campaign? Okay. If we go way back, we're talking the 80s. There was the organization out of the Crypts of Astaris, which is Dungeon 10. I love the concept behind that one.
Yep.
It was the Dark Brotherhood. They worshipped evil Finnish deities, Heisi and Leviathan. So I loved Leviathan. Heisi's kind of evil, okay, but I just love the idea behind Leviathan. So Makarash, who was my original antithesis, I never really mentioned, and he goes before this happened. I never really mentioned who his deity was. So I had him kind of team up with the Dark Brotherhood, and then Phuket came out, the Gnome Illusionist Assassin, as the next evil, and the Dark Brotherhood was kind of the pre-Greyhawk Wars. This is well before any concept of From the Ashes or even the Free City Greyhawk box set was out. They were always fighting against Selene. Makarash was great at taking the armies of the humanoids, running them through the source and attacking Selene always. So that's kind of how it started, and then I wasn't about to, once we got into the Greyhawk Deities, I was not about to pull out Leviathan and Uko and a couple of the other ones we used. I was going to say, hey, it's my campaign. I can do what I want. I'm leaving them in, right? So that's how it happened. And we had some weird, back in the day when you could pick anything you wanted from the Deities and Demigods book. I mean, we had some crazy stuff. Like Alan had a character worship Chung Cool and stuff, but that kind of phased out. The Finnish deities stuck. Some of the Celtic deities kind of stuck, right? Like Freya.
Yep.
Freya's Norse. There you go. You asked about Norse. You asked about Norse deity. There's one.
Yep.
So that's kind of how it started, and I brought him back with the idea that I'm going to use Erythnol as the pawns. So when we did the invasion, the Dark Brotherhood was behind all this. They saw Erythnol as an easily led god of slaughter. Let's use them as our cannon fodder because our organization's small still. Because they only have, they don't have mass troops or anything anymore. It's like a small cult, maybe of 20 high-level characters, but they're very smart. So they pushed out that whole army of Erythnol. They attacked the Watcher's Towers in the Pomarge. All was the Dark Brotherhood's doing, because the Dark Brotherhood was the evil antithesis of the Order of Ulick before the Ayas, before the invasions, before any of that. That's kind of how it worked. So, see, that's cool, Baboonsky. Chain Devils makes total sense with those whipping chains around. Chuck, that makes total sense. And so, Taco, that's how I integrated her in. She's one of the key 7. And, a truist, I'll mention it, Leonard Lakofka would hate it, right? So he would hate that I have Leviathan in the campaign. Some of the other purists may not like it either, but it doesn't matter. It's your campaign. You guys decide what deities you want to do in your campaign and what makes sense for you. We have all the cool other Greyhawk ones. It's just when you're playing in 1981 too, you don't have any other reference points, And hey, you put out deities and demigods for a reason to use it. So yeah, that's exactly it. So I'm going to stick with it. I brought back the Dark Brotherhood just recently, and I'm going to stick with it. I mean, they're not like all these other mass armied antithesis like he is with whole armies and troops and demons and devils. That's not what they're about. They're about behind the scenes manipulation, which is kind of cool. I'm not a big Scarlet Brotherhood fan. Mark will tell you that too. Not a big fan.
Never have been.
Never have been. So they're not my Scarlet Brotherhood, but they're kind of our antithesis in that area of the Wild Coast and such and such. Well, we have another one there, right? I very rarely used one, and I don't know why not, but the Earth Dragon, right?
Yep.
Okay. I don't get why the Earth Dragon is not used by a lot of other aficionados of Greyhawk, because it's such a great. The whole thing is fantastically done. Now, where is my Slavers reference? Okay. Is there a deity you dislike the most in Greyhawk? Good question. Do you mean dislike? All right, so yes. I can think of a couple. What's that?
Balder.
Well, Balder's not a Greyhawk deity. So there are a couple I'm not fond of because I just don't think they. No, if it were up to me, they wouldn't exist. A couple of them, like the Lady of Our Fate. What's her name?
Istis.
Istis is just like I'm not a big fan of Istis. But I didn't eliminate any of them. So the answer is no. We added others, and we added a couple that made sense for our campaign. Like we took, I'll talk about that. We added a couple Forgotten Realms ones over, changed them a little bit. So there's a couple. Slavers reference, so much used that the cover's fallen off, right? This is one of my top 3 references of all time behind the box set, and I count E is the Evil and the Marklands together. So there are 3 specialty priests in here. There's the Earth Dragon, there is Kellenan, and Merlin's all in this book. So it's a very fantastic book to get. We've developed all 3. We've used all 3 in our campaign. Obviously, Merlin and Kellenan are for PCs. The Earth Dragon definitely is not. So if you don't know about the Earth Dragon sits in Killen Lakos, which is in the Pomarge, and the Slavers' main base, supposedly where Tarash Mak is, but Tarash Mak is an imposter all along, right? This dude, this Orhevok Thegnarla has created him out of nothing, and of course, he's a charlatan, and everyone follows Tarash Mak. But part of the Slavers, Marquess is part of the Slavers. I don't think she worshipped anyone, but the main deity of the Slavers in that area is the Earth Dragon. So it's kind of almost like an evil. Oh, that's cool, Taco, because the Earth Dragon's kind of like evil of nature. Almost. It's like, is the dragon a real dragon, or is it like the dragon in Excalibur dragon? You know what I'm saying? That kind of, where it's like it's nature, it's personified, which I think is what Merlin's talking about in Excalibur the movie. Yeah, exactly, Taco. It's about the same, I think, but this is an evil taint to it. So the Earth Dragon is another cool one. They're used a lot in our campaign. We have a lot of different. I'll give you some here. So. Of course, I went by it already, but you have the main picture. I went by it again because I was flipping too fast. All right, so that himself is Stalman Klim. He's the head priest. He was in this original Slavers modules, those 4, and he's 15th level Earth Dragon priest now. They get a really nasty ability at higher level. They can cast. They can't cast 7th level spells with the exception of Earth spells like Earthquake, which they get at a lower level now. So I think we have to be cast 7th level, 18th or 16th. 16th level. I think it's at a level lower. They get access to all the 7th level elemental Earth spells. And Earthquake, everyone knows, is a nasty spell because there's no save on it. They also get multiple attacks. They get more hit points. They have to kill a good line dragon and wear its skull. Some really disturbing stuff, and they power their whole game and industry by slavery. And so Pyera, that's Pyera, Rurik the Taskmaster with a spear, and Davis the Reaver. That picture is like one of the head slavers along the Wild Coast. She's a priestess of the Earth Dragon in Elrid, and she's 10th. So you get a lot of these. Now, we have put them in cities. We put them in Greyhawk. They've been in Hardby. They're all over the place. And we all know in my campaign, Alita Norbalos out of Hardby kind of is allied with these people, even though she doesn't really care. She's using it for her own power, but she's allied with the worshippers of the Earth Dragon and the slavers. So we usually do some one-off adventures where there's an Earth Dragon priest trying to do something, gain control, enslave a town, and then we got to defeat them. They're not on that level of Eas or Erethnal or Leviator that we have. They're on a little bit lower level, but they're still really nasty because they're right in the Pomarsh. They're a couple 100 miles away from all the Order of Yule outposts. So, Mark, what's your thought on the Earth Dragon and what you've seen in the past?
Honestly, I don't remember anything. We've used it so very rare.
Okay.
I really don't have any recollection.
Because you didn't run in that slaver group. I think that's when you weren't around. Yeah. So we have a group that's called the Ulic Defenders Against Slavery. And that's a group of almost all Knights of Ulic. Mark, that was when Mark had moved away and he missed that part. So, and that's the one that has, Alan has the character who's a specialty priest of Cord who got forever banned from Hardby. He wants to raise a barbarian horde and burn Hardby to the ground. So you get an idea on that. But that's another one of our evil deities that we use, and we have the specialty priests written up for it. So, and they are formidable because they are a little bit more stout than other specialty priests, especially with I think they wear scale mail though, kind of. I think that's their main armor is scale, and they use footman's picks. Footman's picks is their weapon of choice, which I wouldn't want to get hit with a footman's pick. That's kind of would hurt. But that's another one that we have out of our 7. So anyone have any questions at this point? Well, that's cool, Taco. So did you make Thegnarl at the half? We kind of, Taco, I mentioned that a little bit. We kind of made it nebulous as to what's going on there. Because Tarash Mac, we got to remember, Tarash Mac took the whole half of the Principality of Ulic and Living Greyhawk, right? And all that. And that doesn't happen in our world ever. So Principality of Ulic's not cut in half. It's not as, and Selene's not an isolationist realm in our campaign. So Tarash Mac is not as uber powerful as he's named out to be in From the Ashes in our campaign. So we kind of left it alone, that discussion, whether it is that person or not. And it hasn't come up really as a point where it has to be discussed. Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I don't blame you if you go the other direction on that and say, no, it's not the case. I really don't. Because it kind of is. It's kind of like that thing with Stonefist. What was it called? The Ayers did the fake god Vatoon.
You Vatoon.
Yeah, that kind of was kind of a little that annoyed me too. So that annoyed me. So and that's kind of the direction this Thegnarl Tarash Mac thing goes. But it's that. Once again, it's left open and nebulous for you to make that decision if you need to even go that area. We haven't had an invasion of Kaelin Lakos by the Order of Ulic. There's no need to. It's kind of like taking out, I don't want going in and taking out Syria, and then there's a vacuum created. That's the same kind of thing if you're talking about politics. So, they can be, the slavers are an issue. The deities themselves, the deity itself, the Earth Dragon deity itself, not so much, but the slavers themselves are a major issue in our campaign because they're raiding all in that Woolly Bay. Our Hardby campaign, where we have 3 adventuring groups in Hardby, all have letters of marque with their ships to go out and hunt down these slaver ships and take them out and, and capture the ships. And if we all remember, just recently in the adventure Michael Baton's Revenge, what happened, Michael? Mark.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Michael Baton did what when he
In Michael Baton's Revenge?
Yes.
He actually gained a book that was very important to the proof of Arriba Norbalos.
Yes.
And,
was dealing with these slaver ships, and he had a group
and
actually
proved
go.
that she is behind it.
They actually went and they found one of these ships that was disguised as a merchant ship that actually would port in Harby, and it wasn't one of the three main slaver ships mentioned in here.
Right.
But it was one. It was another ship that sometimes would do that and had slaves on it, and they sunk it on behalf of Michael when he found the information out.
Yep.
And now,
unfortunately, Michael is missing.
Yes, and everyone's seen those. I didn't run that tonight, but I will run it Thursday. The Michael Baton is missing ad, which we're going to run after Gen Con, it looks like now at this point. So, and that'll be a fun one. But a lot of people online are saying, oh, well, maybe we just won't even go. Well, that was Bill and Alan for the most part saying that. So that's the Earth Dragon. There's a lot of interpretation left up to the DM as to the direction you could take the Earth Dragon. I wouldn't make it a major nemesis in the campaign. I don't think it's meant to be that, but as far as the slaving concept goes, it's perfect for it. So, have you done anything with Gaia-based players? Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So we have especially Priest of Merlin that Alan plays.
Yep.
And he plays him real well. Tell Taco what
I don't even know. Joe. Sorry.
It's not a problem, man. I'll do it. I just wanted to try and I know this is a tough one for you. All right, so Alan has Specialty Priestess of Merlin. She goes around and will go to a town and she'll try and improve something about the town technology wise. So she'll help get the water purified somehow, and then she'll move on, or she'll make. Think about this: if you know anything about steel and crucible steel, like maybe she'll be in a community that doesn't know about that. She'll go in and help them now create more pure steel, and and then she'll move on from there. I mean, that's kind of what she does. But she also adventures in a group called the Night Stalkers in Altamira, and great character, and she's especially Priestess of Merlin. So absolutely, and that is on our list of completed. So Merlin is on here. Whoops, wrong. Hey Shane, that was my son getting his iPad. So she's on the especially Priestess. Oh, here it is. So Merlin is on here, and that was created, and also Kellen and the Sword Lord is on there as well. That's another one. So yeah, absolutely. We will use those well, and both of those are in the rules to start you off on making one, are in the Slaver's book, both Merlin and Kellen. Yep, absolutely. So they're two of the 38 we have. So let's see, we got through some of the smaller ones here. Got through Leviathan, the Earth Dragon, and Hexter, right?
How about we jump to Nerol?
Nerol, the Reaper. Now, Nerol is actually one of the first ones I've done. There we go. Nerol, the Reaper, a nasty. Yeah, it's a scary looking pick out of. And by the way, most of these, the first time you see these are in those early dragons. The dragon articles is a spot where you can get a lot of information on them, and I have a compilation book of deities that we use, but they're also in most of them. For some reason they leave some out. I don't get why. The From the Ashes reference has a lot of them in here, and Greyhawk Adventures has a lot in here. Okay, those books have them. But if you really want to go where there's a lot, the abilities are a little different between Greyhawk Adventures in some cases and the Dragon Magazine articles. So you probably want to hybridize all of them and take a look at all the different ones in there. So Nerol is created from Greyhawk Adventures, this, and the Dragon Magazine article. And you can see Nerol is a pure printout of mine. All right. So where does Nerol come into play in our campaign? Well, everyone knows Nerol was the main deity of the Horn Society before the invasion by Ayazias. So a really major antithesis in the campaign. Where in published canon can you find the Nerol priests? And that's a good question. And I remember that in the City of Greyhawk box set, in this book, Folks, Feuds, and Factions, right?
Yep.
The Cult of the Shriven Sickle's in here, okay? Now, the Cult of the Shriven Sickle is in that era. Oh, Gordon novels too, Anna. That's great, man. That's great. Thank you so very much for the information as well. Cool. I have not ever finished the Gordon novels, Anna, and I probably should. So there was no Priest and Divers. Well, that makes perfect sense, considering it's not too far, actually, from that whole area of Shieldlands, Horn Society. And I'm assuming that the Gordon novels are pre-Greyhawk Wars as well. It's early on, right? It's already on Gygax. So Nerol priests love death, obviously. They're very good with animating dead. They're very good with, taking... Okay, I shall do that. It's a deity we created because it scares the shit out of everyone, just to be blunt. But the Cult of the Shriven Sickle is still a small part in Greyhawk City for us. So you have in there, you have, let's see, Garain the Shadow Render, a neutral evil human male, 7th level specialty priest in Nerol. And Xanthi Lamnin, she's a female, and she's 11th level specialty priestess in Nerol. And they're in the sewers. You know, their goal is to wreak havoc, create terror, and they're not chaotic, but they're just pure evil. So they're out just to cause trouble wherever they can. So that's a good reference point in here if you want to see what some written up Nerol priests with stats are. Is right in that book there. Plus, if you have some hierarchs of the Horn Society, you know what? I really should read them all. I really should, and I should do it due justice. I should get them and read them. Absolutely, yeah. Just to make sure I get that a small life part of an adventure and how it affects the whole greater story. It's really a smart idea, definitely, absolutely. So, Mark, do you have any remembrances of Nerol other than
just that they are extraordinarily nasty as well? I mean, they're all nasty, but they are very much like Leviathan, pure evil. I mean, essentially, neutral evil is the perfect way of describing them, just because of the fact that that's all that they really care about, is just spreading evil through the world, no matter what.
Some spells, and I go to my Priest of Nerol spell list here and some abilities in our book. All right, so notice it's not a deep list, okay? Because once again, they can't cast healing spells, but they have this spell called Ebony Tendrils. And if you anyone remember the Wall of Tentacles in Temple of Elemental Evil? This is kind of like that. It's pretty disgusting. So I'll read this real quick. It's duration's 5 rounds. It summons a lump of blackness 5 foot in diameter with 4 10-foot arms radiating from it 90 degrees apart. Touching the central lump causes death unless a save versus death magic is made. The arms attack with a chance to hit as a cleric casting the spell. And then creatures struck have 1 chance to break free, which is the same chance as to open a door. And if you don't, you get retracted into the central lump, which you must make a save versus death magic. And this is a 5th level spell, so 9th level priests can cast this.
Yep.
That's pretty freaking disgusting. It's cool, though. So, how does Nerol take taking over the Horn Society? And that's a good question. Now, I know Anna has addressed this where the Horn Society is not taken over, I believe, or partially in hers. I have it so that the Free Reavers territory is expanded, and on my maps you can see that. Anna did that for me kindly. And there are Earthnal worshippers. So there's another specialty priest of Earthnal, along with Sharon Vel Valinar, the head of the Three Reavers in that spot of the Horn Society. So I don't know if the role is as one of those deities that's active in the world like Aya's, because Aya's home plane is Earth, right? I think Nerol's got other plans going on, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
But it's a deity that's way more powerful than Aya's, obviously. Once per day to get destruction at 12th level. That's the opposite of resurrection.
Yep.
I don't know if there's a save for that.
There isn't.
Yeah, that's yeah.
This is what I mean, pure evil.
Yeah, it's disgusting. So it's another one that if you want to really put something in there as a one-off or try it, or a cult of the Shriven Sickle, take the cult of the Shriven Sickle in the Greyhawk book, and then just put a faction of it somewhere, because you don't want to destroy that cult itself in Greyhawk. Put it in Harby or Divers or wherever you're playing with the same idea in this book. Let me give you the page for it. It's under Low Life, of course. And I think it's after the Assassin's Guild. There's the Renee, Old Mother Grubs, the Shape Changers, and the Cult of the Shriven Sickle is on page 50, starts on page 57 of Folk's Fusion Factions. And they talk about 4 of the characters in the cult. So, and they also have, there's actually one more. Andrade Mirius is as a special nemesis. They have those growth nemesis in this book where you can see them at lower level, high level, and super high level. Mark, you ever read that up on that? That's one of them.
Mm-mm.
There's 4 or 5 characters in this book where they give it to you as a first level character, as a 6th or 7th level character version of that person, and then as a super high level. So as a scaled up, which is kind of a neat idea too.
It's a cool idea.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, that's why it's my favorite of all time reference. It's just wonderful. Absolutely. So that's the role for you. Another fun one. Another one that is out there. It's not in our campaign the main antithesis of everyone, of course. But it is. It was developed because of in particular because of the Greyhawk City adventuring groups we have. We have like 6 of them. So this cult is occasionally shows its ugly head in Greyhawk City. So that's a good idea for an adventure upcoming. What do you think, Mark?
Sure. Why not?
Yes, absolutely. So we're blowing through these at a record pace, which is okay.
I can already know what the background is going to be.
Let's hear it.
And that is that Nerol is so disgusted by the love of Copus and Heather that he's trying to do what he can to corrupt it.
That's an Alan version of the story, not me.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's so funny. That was awesome. So, I forgot to do one more thing here. So, real quick, the next subscriber / follower giveaway set for Thursday. Stratagem, the one that was in the middle, the tile set. I'm supposed to be getting them. I haven't gotten them yet. I'm hoping I have them by Thursday. If I don't have them tomorrow, I'm going to make my contact. But I'm supposed to get at least 3 of them. So at least 1 for sub and 1 for follower. Hopefully some more. But that's going to be our giveaway this Thursday. Like I said, subs always have more chances than followers. So we really appreciate our sub base. Thank you so very much. But that's the giveaway coming up. One other thing here. So okay. We got our first Reaper delivery of stuff, and Bill's gonna be busy. We got a box of it. Yes, so our newest sponsor, Reaper, was kind enough to send us a whole bunch of shit. that we put that we specifically ordered, but Bill's going to be busy working on that too. So thank you to our third sponsor, Reaper, and I think we're going to hold tight at 3 for a while now.
Yep.
So Miniature Building Authority, I'm going to see Miniature Building Authority next Friday too. There's a Historicons in Lancaster, PA, and I'm going to go out there one day. And Kirk from NBA is actually going to be there, and I'm going to sit and talk with him, and hopefully maybe get our Kickstarter stuff for Harbor Town, which is just coming out now as we speak. So I'll talk to Kurt tomorrow or Tuesday and see if he'll be bringing that stuff out. So we got 2 left, but I mean, we could talk about, yes, Dorgum, it's cool. It's a really great, all 3 of our sponsors are great companies and
Yep.
great people involved with all the companies. We're going to talk about, we have 2 left, and I'm going to save the biggest one for last, which you can see the reference up there. I'm going to talk about my favorite one next. I know Anna can't stand it or doesn't care for it. Let me put it that way. But I just love the stupidity of the idea behind this character, behind this, and that is Washtree, the Hopping Prophet. What a great, yes, Anna. I love Washtree because it's just so ridiculous. So Washtree is humankind superior to everything else. But his version of humankind has them breeding with toads, right? Which is bizarre to begin with. And Washtree is in the Hool. Washtree's base is in the Hool Marshes in that Keeland Sea Prince's border. And I've used them all over the place. I've used we used the Washtree priest with the new firsts, right? We just, and if anyone remembers that, I'll give everyone a cookie if they remember what the specialty priest of Washtree was a few months ago and what his 2 brothers' names were. That should give it away. It was Larry and his 2 brothers, Daryl and Daryl. From the Newhart show, right?
Yep.
Yes. So Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, and they were like low level. They were like 2nd, 3rd level. But there's the fight going on. This is right near Winchester's Bulwark in the Principality of Ulick. They're fighting all these toads. I don't have any pictures of the final fight with Larry, but he was a priest of Washtree in that fight. Now, Taco, cover your ears. Our name of our adventure that myself and Carlos Leising are running at Gen Con is Horror in the Hools. Put 2 and 2 together. But so we're going to have some things going on with that as well. But Washtree, it's a bizarre deity. Humanoids are allowed to serve Washtree, right? Now, this is what makes me laugh about Washtree. But demi-humans are meant fit to be slain. Particularly the small ones, right?
Yep.
Small ones like halflings and gnomes and dwarves. Halflings and gnomes especially. So he's the hammer of demi-humans. I'm sorry. I'm really just, it's wrong of me, but it just makes me laugh inside. So to create a Washtree priest, you have a great reference already done. Here it is. Earth Journal 8, a very old Earth Journal, has an article. Now, I have put that in my folder, my convention carrying folder already, in here, which I got to change the covers on it. All right, I put it says A&D reference packs. I got to change this one to Gen Con, but it's all in there. And he has some cool abilities. I created a spell for Washtree myself. It's called Washtree's Blessing. All right. So here it is, Washtree's Blessing, and it's created by Wa, 3rd level, and its sphere's necromantic, range is 20 feet per level. The duration is a turn per level. Area affects 1 individual. You ready? Here's what saving throw negates. This spell will bring the divine blessing of Washtree upon the targeted individual if the saving throw versus spells is failed. The person will have large knobby warts scroll all over his body, causing extreme pain. No spellcasting will be possible unless the pain effect is removed. The person will lose all dex bonuses, be +4 to armor class and -4 to all hit rolls. For the duration of the spell, the individual's charisma and calmness will be reduced to 3 each. There you go. So that's Washreek's blessing for someone. Plus, in the Earth Journal, there's a lot of neat stuff as far as it tells you about the specialty priest itself. Okay, that's up. So with all the spheres and all the special abilities as well, so that's done for you. And there's some cool spells. Let me give credit where credit's due here. 1 second. The article is by Russell S. Tim. Okay, and this was done, I think, in 1998. All right, so I used this and did some changes to it, added some abilities. But you got Leap of Faith, Enchanted Glaive, Wart Skin, which is not as nasty as mine, a couple other ones. So you got a priest made up with. You have to make up the spell list in its entirety, but you got some custom spells here. So, Mark, I know that's one of your. You love him too, so
yeah.
Give me some memories.
I seem to remember that I had a character that took on Washreek's blessing at one point, so which made me absolutely despise the. But I mean, I liken Washreek to like if you're, comic book geek and like DC, it's like the frog version of Grodd. In my opinion, Grodd obviously is trying to turn the entire world into apes.
Yeah.
And Washreek is trying to do basically the same thing, if you really think about it. Those that he doesn't like, he just eliminates.
It doesn't make sense. And now I remember this. Do you remember there was a Washreek priest in Greyhawk, and Elijah Winchester IV, he got turned into a frog. Remember that? Yeah, during the fight, because there was a wizard with a priest of Washreek. He polymorphed him into a toad, which I thought was really funny too. So yeah, all sorts of bad things always happen to that character.
Yeah. Washreek is just nasty. I mean, there's nothing good that you can say about
because it's so disturbingly warped, the thought process.
Yep.
So that one though is. Gosh, I don't want to say it's a good versus evil thing. It makes Jay as a DM happy thing. So because it just is like just so disturbing that the pure form of a human is a human mixed with an amphibian. So yep. And the real Taco Turtle is going to experience that at Gen Con. With Carlos Lysing and me, because he's the 6th sign up coming up on that Thursday. So, but it's a 2-parter. So you got my part. He's nervous. You got my part, and then you have Carlos's part. So Carlos is even more disturbing and difficult than mine. Just so you know that, Taco. You'll have a blast though. And you got all the pre-mades. Taco, you could play Fritz Winchester if you wanted. Fritz is in there, and all sorts of other good player characters are in there that you can use. So and plus you all will experience it in the future because Carlos will publish it. So now you'll know my disturbing viewpoints on that. It'll be in a published module after Gen Con.
And Grendel, you are absolutely true, because Carlos will not have any mercy.
Yes.
I'll probably be there helping him along.
So yes, absolutely. Going to be a great time. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. And plus, as a double dose, I may run something with Washreek to do at the Gen Con house, and give them all. I'm sorry, at the Greyhawk Channel house, and just give them all another taste of it as well, which will be a double dose. So, yeah. So that's my favorite. But I know, hey, we're kind of early, but we can talk about a bunch of other things upcoming too. The biggest of them all, everyone knows, in the evil deity world. Okay, now and we're gonna flip over. Is Ayuz, of course he is. I just went by him. Whoop! I go by things all the time. There we go. All right, there's Ayuz on the throne with Igwal behind. The wars changed everything. Ayuz took over a lot of shield lands. Ayuz took over Hold the Stone Fist. Ayuz took over the Rovers of the Barrens, all over the place. parts of Furiandi early on, parts of the Vespi Forest, and went out from that enclave and just wreaked havoc on everything. Good idea. I thought it went a little hair too far, but we've pulled it, over years and years of play. I mean, when did the From the Ashes box set come out? Does anyone know that date? Are we talking 91, 92?
Oh, that's got to be right around 91.
Yeah.
92.
Yeah. If anyone has...
It wasn't far after the City of Greyhawk, and they basically, it's the thing that I don't understand.
Yeah.
They put out that great box set about the City of Greyhawk, and right after it, it's like they blew it up.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's... And of course, everyone knows, and that's a picture from the E is the Evil set up there. Everyone knows that they killed off a lot of characters. I didn't like what they did. 92, thank you. You're 91, 92. It's right there. So like Valderessa Sharn, Grimmy Fisher, we've talked about that. But that reference, the Eye is Evil reference, and the Marklands after it. I mean, once again, notice Jay has no covers on them because I've used them so much. The rest of it stayed intact, but the covers are ripped off, long since ripped off of both these. These are fantastic references. And the coolest thing of all, the E is the Evil set has the basis, but they really sting you. And this is what drives me crazy about this era. I'm going to explain this to you. Here's the priesthood of Eos. I'm going to pronounce the way we pronounce it. Eos.
Yep.
One thing before we get there. These two pictures upcoming now. I got permission to use these from Dungeon Meister on DeviantArt. I talked to him, a French gentleman. His campaign's 33 years old. This is Althea and Helga, the two high priestesses of Ios. And they're fantastic. They're the best representations I've ever seen. I asked if I could use them for this. Absolutely. I'm trying to get this Dungeon Meister, and I think he did some Levin Greyhawk stuff, so some of you may know him. Trying to get him on our Discord, trying to get him back involved. So I'm working on that, but he was more than gracious to let me take these two fantastic pictures of the top two priestesses, specialty priests that exist in the entire Greyhawk world. And she's hideous looking, nasty, and then the next one is just as scary. Beautifully done pictures, though.
Yeah.
So, creating a specialty priest of Ios is not as easy as it looks, though. I'm gonna explain to you why. So, you always find something missing. You come in here, and this card gives you all these great spells, and then has all these numbers all over the place, and says, well, this spell is in the From the Ashes cards, and the From the Ashes box set. So if you don't have the From the Ashes box set, you can't do Screaming Skull, and what's the other one? Bone Chain?
Oh yeah, I think so. I think
Vampiric Mist. Screaming Skull and Vampiric Mist are listed, but they don't explain them, and they're in the adventure cards in the From the Ashes box set.
And trust me, you want to read it, because Screaming Skull is nasty.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, then they added magic user spells, which are wizard spells in second edition of the Necromantic Sphere. Now, the Necromancy Sphere is small initially, but then grows. So do you add the initial, or do you add all of them? I added just the initial, because the spell list, yes, lots of great spells. And I'm going to discuss some. That's great, absolutely. Plus, they don't get healing spells. Plus, they don't get 7th level spells, because Ios is a deity from Earth, so they don't have access to the greater sphere. They stop at 6th level, so they don't get access to 7th level spells at all. Kind of sucks for those two high specialty priests, right?
Yep.
Plus, there are spells all over the place. Like the Spittle spell is in this book, Greyhawk Adventures book. So you need that to get this spell, Spittle, which is another unique one. Let's talk about that one real quick. So Spittle, first level, allows the cleric to generate a disgusting spittle that you spit that can paralyze any creature it touches. The cleric must make it to hit roll. All targets are considered to be at short range. The range is 10 yards, so 30-foot range, and it's all short. If you fail your save, if you on an 8-sided die, 1 head unconscious, 2 to 4 body paralyzed, 5 weapon arm, you can't attack, 6 non-weapon arm, no shield bonus, 7, 8, you lose. I'm surprised you don't drop, but it says lose defensive dexterity bonus, movement reduced to 50. I guess because you have 1 leg that functions. It lasts 2 to 5 rounds. First level spell, that's a cool one. Yes. Bone Chain is a cool one too. I like Chain Madness myself. I think we'll talk about both those. There's a couple other good ones. But then I'm going to show you another secret spell no one knows about. If you go to the adventure, the monstrous compendium where they had all the loose leaf monsters, right? Like they had Lossels, right? And they have Greyhawk dragons, and they have all these things, and they have it in loose leaf paper. There's another ES spell that no one knows about on the back of the Facilos, which is the golem made out of body parts.
Yep.
Guarantee you, no, I bet you 95% of you don't even know this exists. Okay? This is called Create Facilos. There it is. And it says right there, 6th level, Priest of Eus spell only. Okay? It's on the only place it exists that I ever found it is on the back of the Facilos sheet. In this monstrous compendium, loosely papers. So this is a spell to do to create that Facilos, which is that guardian demon thing. All right.
Mhm.
So, and I used one in events before David Gradavis's wedding. I have a picture of one fighting because Bill made one for me. You can barely see it here. Okay, if you look back here, oh, actually, he hadn't made it at the time. There's Panjashek on top, and you got a Type 3 and a Type 4 demon. Railstone Garvis got the shit kicked out of him in that fight. Remember that, Mark? So you see up top behind up top behind Panjashek, you see a Dark Elf. That's actually a good Dark Elf. That's Chandra, and that's the Facilos. That's Panjashek's Facilos fighting Chandra up there. So that's the and it's basically a golem creation, but it's like kind of like half demonic, half undead stuff. Yeah, see, Dorgo, you found something. I able to teach you something. Even the hardcore people who know everything, there's a spell for you, and it's 6th, so because they don't get 7ths. But we've used EAs for a long time. Particularly in the Shieldlands, Greyhawk City. We had an adventure that it was a bar, and priests of Ios had taken over the bar and had the whole family held for ransom. And actually, the Grey Company actually owned that house now. It was the Noble Pawn disappearances.
Yep.
So they own that bar now in Greyhawk. So we've done that. If you've ever done expeditions to the ruins of Greyhawk, the 3.5 version of Ruins of Greyhawk, right? There's eyes spread out through all that because Rigby has finally died. His body comes back to Greyhawk, and all hell comes loose. There's eyes all through that. The Abel Carter Coaching Company, if anyone knows, that is a front for has a lot of eyes agents in it, all over the place. So we've had our own Teamster service for 30 years before they existed, called who, Mark?
Pete and John's Teamsters.
Pete and John's Teamster service.
Yep.
So now they're at odds of each other. Pete and John were actually played a couple weeks ago by Tim. They're actually player characters of Tim. And they're members of the Iron Brigade, which is the highest rated mercenary group in Greyhawk. All sorts of Eyes stuff going on. Eyes is actually taking a secret army through the ruins of Greyhawk and bringing them up through a corridor, and they've been coming all this distance, and you have to collapse a certain that high cylindrical spiral staircase that runs right through the middle of the one building. You have to demolish that before the army gets there. It's part of that module. It's a real. I liked it.
Right now.
What's that, Mark?
He's not really happy with us right now.
No, absolutely not. No, neither is Egg Wolf too.
Yeah.
But they're all throughout canon. I mean, Eyes is obviously the one that we've currently been fighting the most on. Yeah. And I've used a lot of the lesser Boneheart and the greater, not the greater Boneheart to effect, but mostly a lot of the lesser Boneheart members I've used. I mean, Vane has come out multiple times because he's in that module. He was the he got turned into the Grave Master, and he was the one responsible for the undead army that came back and wiped out the 1/3 of the Shieldlanders' army, right? All that stuff. So that's a fun one, very very fun one. That's Thanks a lot. Yes, thank you for that story. Oh, that's funny. It's better than some of the other ones.
The funny part is we never. I mean, you use the Evil as a reference, but we've never actually run it.
Well, remember that's City of Skulls.
Yeah, or City of Skulls. Pardon me. Yeah, we've never actually run City of Skulls.
All right. And does anyone want to know or take a guess why I haven't run City of Skulls? Anyone out there? That's a good one. Hey, Lo, good to see you on, man. It's a good question. Why I haven't run City of Skulls? Does anyone know about what happens in City of Skulls? First off, you're supposed to take all neutral characters in it because you don't want them to detect good characters. So first off, the concept behind the adventure I find a little wrong. Like, why would neutral characters even want to go on it? Number one, right? Two, they're going to rescue Homer, right?
Yeah, and neutral characters wouldn't care.
Exactly. Three, who cares about Homer?
Right.
I'm sorry. That's very awful for me to say. It's one of those adventures that kind of reminds me of a Forgotten Realms adventure. It's like, you know how Forgotten Realms adventures are up here and they can change the course of everything that's going on. I like all the detail in it. I like the detail of Dorka. There's a lot of cool things in it. It was just not for us. You know, I didn't run the 5 Shall Be One. I didn't run Fate of Istis. I didn't run those. They didn't fit in our campaign. Now I ran the Falcon series. I never really truly ran Isle of the Ape, even though we went there. But so that's the way. I mean, in your campaigns, you may see this just doesn't make sense to us. And the City of Skulls, even though I have it, it just didn't make sense for us to run. I just can't get by the effect of why a druid would be. It's a good versus evil struggle, in my opinion. But that's cool. Can always change it. But
well, and change the reason, because, like we said, we never really care. I mean, Katarina may care about, because she's related to, Homer.
Yeah. But it's been so long in our game anyway, at this point, is he even alive at this point? All right, so Anna wanted me to discuss Bone Chain. So what happens in Bone Chain, the range and duration are special on this. For a Bone Chain spell requires special preparation in the form of material components. For each link in the chain, the priest must possess one bone from a deceased human oid creature. Any bone may be employed, rib, finger bone. No Fensic bones, though, right? No, I'm just kidding. Each bone utilized as a material component must come from a separate creature. The maximum number of bones usable in the spell casting is equal to the priest's experience level. So you're looking at, realistically, you get up to 14 bones. It's pretty nasty. When the spell is cast at a point where each bone is placed, the skeleton springs up will do the bidding of the priest carrying the spell, automatically fighting the nearest enemy. And skeletons activated 1 per 2. Each activated skeleton has a minimum of 5 hit points. It's a cool idea. It's a cool spell. Skeletons animated by Bone Chain remain in existence till the dawn following the casting. So yeah, I would even have it permanent, but that's a cool one. So yes, we did do something like that, absolutely, and that involved the Dark Brotherhood and Sir Twix and Phuket and all them. Yes, Grendel, I will.
They beaten up with a pillow.
Yes, I will tell that story because it looks like we'll have some time. So I'll tell that story in about 10-15 minutes. Again, that's a great story. One of my favorite I use spells is Chain Madness, and it's 6th level. So its 6th level, range is 30 yards. This spell allows a priest to create insanity in the mind of a target creature, which then becomes contagious. So the target creature's last save versus spells at -4. So There's a minimum latency period of 48 hours. The duration of the madness is 1 day 4 plus 4 days. It's nasty because they can affect up to 6 creatures. So, and it can only be cured by successful dispel magic, remove curse, or heal.
Yep.
Yeah, this spell is rarely used for as hazardous to the priest casting it. The casting priest will suffer the effects of a chain madness himself without becoming contagious if the roll below his wisdom score in a die 100. So the higher your wisdom, the more chance you have of getting this chain madness. So Blood Gloat is another great Priest of Ea's spell. I like this one. It's 5th. Blood Gloat, duration's 1 round per level, area effects 30-yard radius. That's 90-foot radius, this spell. This horrific spell permits the priest to convert a deadly triumph into magical effects baneful to his adversaries. It may be only cast around following the slaying by the priest of a sentient, genuine opponent in hand-to-hand combat. See, now, my version of hand-to-hand combat is if I fingered to death someone, or I took them down some other, whatever, that counts. If you kill someone, you can gloat them. That's my interpretation of it. So on the round following the slaying, the priest touches the body and exhales a cry of exaltation, and it gives everyone a -1 penalty, attack and damage, saving throws, and morale. And finally, any creature hostile to the priest which fails by a margin of -6 or worse, or rolls a 1, is effect as a symbol of hopelessness, which is really nasty. So, pretty cool spell. And there's some great unique IU's items. The black staves, bone wands, which are great. They shoot out bone shards. Kind of like, it's almost like a cone of cold. Clawed gauntlets. Alan's favorite, the gas robe. And it's usable by priests or wizards. The gas robe has traditional black or bloodstained white design. It's a base armor class 4. Undead are automatically non-hostile to a creature wearing a gas robe. So it's kind of like a wraith form spell effect. Yep. Who treats, as if a wraith form. And you're treated as 2 levels higher with commanding undead. Also, you get a gas stench and create a paralyzation by touch 3 times per day. Now, I think Chandra has a gas robe from killing a priest of Ives. Yeah. It's kind of difficult to use with your friends around, but she's chaotic neutral, so she goes off on her own and fights at a distance because of that gas smell. But cool thing. Yeah. And the Ebon Skulls are neat, and there's a lot of stuff with Aya's priests. Plus, in effect, all the demons that are out there, it's the main bane of almost every campaign, to some degree, right? And if you're running a Greyhawk campaign on a grandiose scale, because you want their shield lands retaken, you want this foul Cambion creature of Grazitz and Ingwolf back in his own homelands. You want him out of the Vespi Forest, right? You have the Defiled Glades in the Vespi, which we just did an adventure in. It's a really nasty deity. I'm sorry, the deity's not as nasty as Aerophnol or Snarol when you think about it, but the overall effect on Greyhawk is because of what's going on at that level. So, once again, a major drawback is they can't heal. Minor thing. So,
So Jay, I was looking through the list, and there is one conspicuously one missing.
Loth?
Nope.
Which I was thinking about writing up.
Ouija. Because Ouija is actually also could be lawful neutral, lawful evil.
True, but that's true. I'm going to give you a little teaser for 2 weeks from now. Anna knows this, and Brian Blumklotz knows this, because we talked with Leonard Lakofka for 90 minutes yesterday. Everyone in the entire world pronounces this name wrong.
Okay.
I will save that. No lie. Anna, Brian, and I were 90 minutes. We sat there and we had a great chat with Leonard on Zoom because he wanted to pre-set it up for 2 weeks from now. he says that's not the correct pronunciation. I will wait 2 weeks to tell everyone the correct pronunciation, and you'll be shocked. But Leonard, it's Leonard's deity, Ouija. I almost slipped. I almost just said it the way Leonard says it. But Ouija is not the correct pronunciation according to Leonard Lakofka. Yes, Anna's laughing because that was one of the great things we took out of that discussion. So I will save that for 2 weeks. I'll let Leonard say it.
Sure.
But Ouija has evil. Yes. Ouija has, and so everyone knows Leonard Lakofka is going to be my very, very special guest 2 weeks from tonight on the 21st. He's agreed to come on the show, and we're just going to talk Leonard Lakofka stuff. Whatever he wants to talk about with D&D, we'll let him run with it, you know. I don't want to be a fanboy like Brian Blomcott said and ask him all these specific questions from 40 years ago. I may bring up some things, but you know, it's going to be a great night. Anna's going to join me because Anna's doing stuff with Lender Isle, and she makes Leonard very comfortable too. So, which is awesome. So Anna will be on the show too, and then Mark, you're absolutely free to join this, and Brian Blomkotz may join as well. So I can't wait. I can't wait for that. But yeah, Ouija is a evil deity. We use the lawful neutral aspect of Ouija all the time because everyone loves playing Ouija as a player character, especially priest. So I'll say this about Ouija. One of my favorite. Let's talk about her since we got some time. Everyone okay with that? It's only 9:10 here. One of my favorite specialty priests ever done. A little bit of a. They have an ability that a major abuse ability when you cross over and you mix clerical spells with necromancer spells. So Ouija, gosh, I gotta be careful. I say it wrong. I say it the Leonard way. I can't even fit the spell list of all 7 levels of spells on one page. There's 6 levels of spells. She has a lot of spheres, and then the 7th level of spells is on the second page. That doesn't include that they get to cast necromancer spells as well of certain levels based on whatever level they are, and they can supplement their specialty priest spells with up to half. So say, with the exception if there's only one, so say they have 3 4th level spells, and they're of the level, I think you gotta be 9th to cast them, right? Yeah, if you're 8th, you can cast 3rd or 4th level necromancer spells as a priest of the same level. If you're 5th, you can cast 1st or 2nd level necromancer spells. So say you're 8th and you get a couple force, you get 3 force. You can have one of them being a necromancer spell because it's no more than 50% ever. So, and you got to have a spell book just like you do with a priest, but it's a combination of both them. So that gives you spells like, my gosh, Flesh Shiver is not that level, but there's a lot of good ones. It's a lot of great necromancer spells, but like for 3rd level, Vampiric Touch at 3rd is a great one. Here's
the best part is that they actually get Spectral Hand.
Yes, and that's the key. Yeah. So Spectral Hand is a 2nd level necromancer spell. And actually, Priest of Uyas get it too, but it doesn't help them because it helps them only offensively. Spectral Hand, if anyone knows, is a 2nd edition spell. I don't know if they call it Mage Hand or what they call it in future editions, but it can go out almost 200 yards, and instead of doing a touch spell physically, you can do touch spells through the Spectral Hand. Now, especially priestess of Ouija, they have healing spells too because they are cleric. They get healing sphere. So now they're standing way back, cast their Spectral Hand, touch a character in combat with a Spectral Hand, cure light wounds. Character that's down. Remember, we have Death's Door and Repair Injury now because of our critical hit table, and we allow function negative. You know, you're not dead till negative 10. So Death's Door once again is another one of those spells we allow. Touch, Death's Door puts you at 0, all at range. So it's a hugely popular specialty priest in our campaign. And that's their special. You know, they don't get any other special abilities, but they get +1 save versus magic, and then here we go. So that's Ouija. So they get those necromancer spells. They can get up to a 4th level necromancer spell use. So pretty neat. But they can be evil as much as they can be lawful neutral. And they're not allowed to turn. They can only turn undead. They can never command undead because Ouija doesn't like that. It says it right in the Ouija doesn't want them commanding undead at all. It's the goddess of death and magic, not undead control and magic, right, Mark? So
Right.
so it's a good one. I have an NPC, Amelia Rothschild, and I used her a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
And the oh my God, Radiant Awakening at Radiant Fork adventure I ran. So up in the Shieldlands, a really cool specialty priest class, and definitely evil, can be evil, absolutely, but a player character one, and really not. We don't run against, because of all the other evil deities. We don't run against evil cults of Ouija causing trouble that much. Have you seen me ever run an evil Ouija?
Nope.
No, I haven't.
Nope.
Haven't. But it's there. You're absolutely correct. So, anyone have any questions so far? I know we've gone over a lot. We went over 7, counting Ouija. We went over eight deities and 8 specialty priests. Like I said, I'm more than happy to share the information with anyone. It's over the years of compiling stuff, I had to separate the books out, and plus now I have, because always that specialty priest book is a book always out on the table, because there's always have specialty priests in the adventuring group, so that book's always out. There's so many unique spells in our campaign that are all off of the specialty priest. It's added a whole lot of flavor, because clerics. All right, clerics are healing factories. The old clerics kind of straight clerics disappeared in our game. Clerics only exist in multi-class form now. That's it, right? Basically as a supplemental healer. The specialty priest is taking its place, and that's because of our 1E, 2E hybrid game. But I like it that way. It adds a lot of character and flavor to your adventuring groups. Now, Mark, overall, what are some of your favorite specialty priests you'd like to see?
Oh, wow. Well, obviously Ilmater is probably my staple out of all the ones that's out there.
And it's another finished deity that's in Forgotten Realms that we used well before, because Mark's Gradovit's family, that's who they worshipped before we had anything else. So that one's another one that's on this list. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah, they have a lot of really, really great spells. In fact, most of the time Jay forgets some of the spell abilities that they get. They are the Ilmatari are considered they're pain bearers. So their main nemesis obviously is Leviator. And for as much pain as she dishes out, Ilmater actually takes on. And so they gain a lot of ability to take on pain from other areas, and they have some really, really great spells in basically being able to take something and then deal it back. They have a spell called Fangs of Retribution, which allows you to return damage to as much as you've taken within the last hour from a specific character. You also have what's called Fist of Ilmater, which basically takes any damage that you've taken within the last 24 hours and strikes the target. No save.
Yeah, so, and I get burned by that more than often. But Mark's only one. Mark, who else? Does anyone else play specialty priest of Ilmater? I think you're the only one.
Nobody else has.
Well, that's their loss, right?
Their
Taco Turtle had a great question. Healing. Do every specialty priest get healing? No. Nerol doesn't. Erethnol doesn't. Ayuz doesn't.
Yeah, and some only get minor.
Yes, only minor. That means up to third. So you're getting, and we don't have a second level healing spell. Aid is really not a healing spell; it's an enhancement spell. We have Cure Light Wounds at first. We don't have Cure Moderate Wounds. I never put it in. Too much healing. Third is Repair Injury.
Yep.
Right, and which does 1 night 10 plus 1 or
disease. Yeah, all of those. Yep.
Well, and then fourth is Cure Serious, which if you don't have Major Sphere, you're not getting it. And fifth is Cure Critical. Sixth is Heal. So there are neutral deity like Ralashaz. I'm looking at Ralashaz now, the god of bad luck, does not get healing at all.
Solanor Thalendra is a minor in it.
You're right. So Solanor only gets up to Repair Injury.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of them that healing is. A lot of them get healing. right? Heronius gets healing, and Paylor absolutely, and Mayaheen, and all the ones we created with 38 specialty priests. There's a lot to get healing, but there's a fair amount. I wonder if does Stormlord get it? Talos?
I don't think so. I don't think Stormlord does.
So we poured it in a couple. So there's a couple holes in the Greyhawk mythos that I think of. One of them was the god of bad weather. Now some may say Zerbo or Osprey. I'm like, eh. So I love Talos, but I don't like that it's chaotic evil. I converted Talos over to something called the Stormlord in Greyhawk, and they have a little technological aspect to them. So let me see if they get healing. Minor, yeah, they do. They do get healing. Yep, they get healing. So that's a chaotic neutral deity in our game. Pure chaotic neutral. Fultus is lawful neutral, lawful good. Kellen is true neutral. There's a lot of them. Farlang is neutral good, neutral. Freya is neutral good. Hexter, we already went over that. Ilmater is lawful good. Jormy is neutral or neutral good. Ula is lawful good or lawful neutral. So Procan's Ocean. I don't have a Procan specialty priest. I do have a Zerbo one. Zerbo is true neutral, and they can be druids or specialty priests, kind of like Alana. There's two. Alana can be a druid or a specialty priest. It depends on the setting. You can be either.
We also have Osprey that is also Oceans.
Right. But Osprey, we have Crusaders, but I've never created the specialty priest on that. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. So we have, if you take, we have Crusaders available in any class that has lawful good, chaotic good, lawful evil, chaotic evil, lawful neutral. There's no neutrals aspects of Crusaders. They're second edition. It's like a holy warrior for that cult sect, and they have their own spell list. It's a hybrid of a paladin and a cleric almost.
It's a battle priest at the end of the day.
That's a good way of putting it as battle priest. So they have their own spell list. They get chaos sphere or law sphere. We get a rare occasion playing them here and there. You'll see them. But there can be Crusaders of almost any deity that's in those aspects in the corners. So no neutral good, no neutral evil, no neutral. You have to be chaotic or lawful. Cord is another one that's another Sully's one. We have chaotic good, chaotic neutral. So we've
and also the demi-human deity. So you were asking about some of my favorites. The demi-human ones are really great as well. I'll take Solanor. So let's take Solanor Thalendra. Solonor's got some really, really great spells that you can end up using. And actually, so that
yes, it does. They have a lot of great archery spells, like Archer's Redoubt, right?
Yeah.
And they have one where it enhances your critical hit and a couple others.
Yeah, another really great one that they have is Cluster.
Yeah.
So Cluster allows you to actually take a bunch of arrows and cluster them together. You get one shot, and with that one shot, they all hit.
Or they all miss. Yeah.
But they also get Everfull Quiver, which is really great if you have the type of campaign where you keep track of arrows. As long as they have a singular arrow in their quiver, basically they have access to an Everfull amount. They never lose any. Rain of Fire is another really good one.
Yeah, it's
basically you just shoot off in the distance, and like every Robin Hood movie where flaming arrows all taking off, and you just see volleys of arrows going off, but you have this spell that basically becomes a volley of itself.
One shot arrow becomes an entire volley of arrows, hits an area effect.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Really, really nasty when it critically hits.
Yeah, absolutely. So the other demi-human ones we've created, Clangeddon, Silverbeard, and Moradin for the dwarves. Okay, they're the two for the dwarves. Elven is Solanor Thalandra. Freya is Elven and half Elven. Oh, God, I hate to say this. No one punished me for this. This was because Walt wanted it. Illustrate.
Yep.
Erevan Elisir, right? The Elven God of Thievery.
Yep.
Aerolith the Theranal, which is out of a Dragon magazine. That's the Drow Hunter Elven deity.
That one makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does.
In the campaign.
Absolutely. And then Gnome Flandale Steelskin. Notice I didn't say a single halfling one.
No.
Because no one's asked.
No one's asked for it yet.
No one's asked for me to create one, and I'm not going to, so I don't have a halfling deity. Especially priests yet. Halflings can be specialty priests, but if we've had a halfling specialty priest, it's been for another deity. Have we had one?
No.
No.
I think at one point Walt wanted to do one of Yondala.
And
Yondala.
Yeah.
But no, it never went anywhere.
Yep.
Although I will say that we are going to be test playing one. I'm going to be test playing one as an NPC in my Shieldland group coming up.
Ula?
No. That you're going to see. Well, actually, you're going to see two. Technically, you're going to see two, because you have Tiamat on one side and you have Bahamut on the other. Perfect sense to integrate in. So we're going to be test playing those out, and then we'll see from there, because that fits very well into that specific campaign.
So Taco, here's a little quick tidbit. If now that you mentioned that, there's 6 people playing, and Carlos and I may NPC what's left over one of them. So here are the 8 characters from my campaign that you may be able to play. Number 1, the fighter, one of my favorites, Millicent von Kessel. Okay, straight fighter, double specialized. Fion, specialty priestess or Tritharian. That's 2. The great Fritz Winchester, thug thief.
Yeah, the great thug.
Candace, bandit, 4th level, outdoor, almost like a ranger type, but she's a bandit. That's a great for the adventure we're doing outdoors. It's a great character. Desmond Miles, that's Tom's character, an Inquisitor, which is a subclass of Paladin. Tabitha, half elf, fighter mage. Okay, doesn't use fire spells. That's an NPC of mine. And all these are PCs or NPCs in my campaign. Walt's character, Erebus, fighter thief, 4/4. The last one, Dex the Misunderstood, cleric necromancer, multi-class gray elf. There you go. They're going to be the ones. Yes, rocks. So, play Fritz. Oh, it's so awesome. Yes, they're your characters. They're your choices. So those 8, one of those 8 you'll be playing. So first, whoever gets there first, you get to pick. Absolutely, first come, first serve, man. You get to pick. You know, I mean, if you're gonna be staying at the Greyhawk house with me, so you can tell me the night before. You know.
Yep.
So
the DM does take bribes, just so you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you get your choice out of those 8 characters. So, everyone, let's do some announcements here. Mark, when you're not on this week, right?
Correct. We are not on this week, so you're going to be doing a Carlos.
If Carlos hasn't talked to me on that, no, Carlos is going to do it on his channel. It's not going to be on this channel. Carlos Lysing is going to try and fill in the nights Mark's not playing with a little bit of a talk show himself. On the Monday nights that Mark's group isn't going. I'm not sure if it's official yet. I didn't hear anything if it's official for this Monday, or the 22nd. So I'll try and find that out. So we're back on Thursday, our normal night. We'll continue with Hidden Temple of Erythnal. It's turning out to be pretty difficult. It's turning out to be a slugfest. And it's driving Alan crazy because there's no treasure in it. I love it. I love it. So... and you're gonna run into the Tim abused that David Wonder wrote himself. Another person wrote in this adventure. It's a dual class human fighter, specialized stuff, low level, and then specialty priest at Erythnal. Perfect. It's perfect for major abuse there. So you're gonna run into that on Thursday. So that's what's going on Thursday. Next Sunday, the 14th, we're going to delve into another, and I have it right here. We're going to delve into a class that we've been talking about that is probably the most bizarrely written class ever written for first edition. It's in the back, the Bard. So we're going to delve into the Bard next week. We're going to talk about, we have 3 different types. All right, so we kind of get a little bit of flavor to it. We have your standard Bard, which gets Druid spells. We have your Bard out of the Dragon magazine that gets illusionist spells. and we have the bard that gets song magic spells. So from a lot of them are taken from Forgotten Realms. So we'll show them. We'll show the bard. We'll show what we do for it. What requirements there are, and some of the key bards. Yes, first edition. So you fighter, thief, bard. That's the way we do it. It'll be a good discussion next week on the bard. Plus, I know that one may not take 2 full hours, so I added in created spells as well, because there's some in the bard and there's some others. Spells that I've made. I talked about one tonight, Washree's Blessing. Spells that everyone else, Alan, Tim's dad, John, have made in the campaign. We're going to go over some of them. Some of them are pretty good. Like Arathorn's Ranger Attack is pretty good, or the Stone of the Prophet's Anger. So we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about some spells that have been custom created by a lot of my players and myself. So, oh man, you know how many hits I got? I got so many views on that stupid a minute and a half long song, me singing the Animal House thing. It was pretty funny. So that's what's going on. Then Mark will be on the Monday after that, and then Thursday, I'm hoping we finished Earthnal 2 weeks, but who knows. And then the 21st, Anna will be on with me and Leonard Lakofka. And that's going to be, up to now, the granddaddy of all was my 50th show of all the Greyhawk people. This will probably, it's Leonard. 75-year-old gentleman, been there since the beginning. We're talking about the late 60s, the wargaming era. He's been there for it all. So had some great stuff he was talking about, just BSing with us on Zoom. I'm so excited about that. I know Anna is too. Hopefully we'll have some stuff about Lender Isle. We'll have some stuff about all the classes he's done, all out in the Lehman's Tiny Huts, and his Soul Deities. And just he'll tell some stories, because he told us some funny ones too, and some Leonard doesn't pull punches, so he's not PC at all too, which is great. So, but we gotta hopefully I don't have to snip something out of that, but that's okay. And then the week after that, right before Gen Con, the weekend before Gen Con, I want everyone to know we have a Saturday night special on the 28th, and that Saturday night special, the ever mysterious Tim will be DMing at the house here, terrain mini style, his city state of the Invincible Overlord campaign. That'll be up, and he'll be doing that on Saturday the 20. Is that the 27th or 28th?
27th.
27th. Saturday the 27th. That'll be like from 7 to 11:30 p.m. on a Saturday night special. I'll be playing Mark and Walt. All of our original characters. We had 2 characters in that campaign. Yes, Saturday night special. It's going to be Tim DMing. These characters are old characters, and we're talking about like 83 era. I have a Cavalier. Mark, you have. Go ahead. What do you have?
I have a Druid and a Fighter Mage.
What levels are they?
9, 10 Fighter Mage and 12
level Druid. I have a 13th level Cavalier. Yeah. I have a 9, 10, 10 Fighter Cleric Mage. He's a poor man's Gazumba, though. He's not. Kixano is not Gazumba. And then Walt has a straight Halfling Thief and a Dwarf Fighter Thief.
Yep.
And the 2 NPCs are a Gnome Illusionist Thief and an Elven Fighter Mage Thief. A lot of thieves in it. Yep. So, have they been commatized, Rocks? They're not my characters. They're Tim's. So, it's Tim's campaign. And here's the story. The first time ever a Morning Canes Disjunction ever went off anywhere I know is we're sitting there at a party or something, and someone comes in and they send us a package with a bow on it. And everyone's sitting at the table. I wonder what this is. Wonder what this is. Pulled the wrapping, and poof, confetti went out everywhere. And Morning Canes Disjunction kind of came on. And that was Tim's way of getting rid of a lot of the items that those characters had. Yeah, oh man, that was brutal. We're talking 25 years ago. I don't think we played these characters in 25 years, so I'm excited about it. It's on the schedule of events down there. It's a picture of the old city-state cover, and his campaign is a whole set of estates outside with a bunch of nobles that we're part of. It's brilliant. It's brilliantly done. Get a taste of it. It's okay. It's not Greyhawk. But it's Tim's doing. It's awesome. It was fun too because this group was not on their minds all the time.
Yeah.
This was a group that was they're not an evil group. They are a group that's existing in this. Everyone's evil in the city-state of the Invincible Overlord. You know what I mean? No matter who you turn around, there's anti-paladins walking around just talking to you. It's crazy stuff. But it was such a blast. I'm looking forward to it. So I think I have a neutral good character. Kixana's neutral good, and Devilla is lawful neutral, I think. The Cavalier.
He was a fallen paladin.
She couldn't take it. She couldn't take it, so she's actually was a.
She's like the poor man's Andrea Winchester.
She's actually probably gonna kick Andrea Winchester's ass. She's a pretty nasty character. I'm looking forward to playing her. And Bill is painting up the chariot I got for her because she drives around in a chariot, and it's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that, and that's what's going on in the month. And then our last Gabbin before Gen Con will be, I think Mark came up with an idea. We're going to do adventuring groups and organizations. We're going to talk about a lot of the, I know we did one a year ago, but we're going to talk about each adventuring group and its unique traits and organizations that exist in our world, like the Red Company of mercenaries that hunt undead. And we'll talk about the Night Watchmen, and all sorts of other organizations that exist in Greyhawk that we utilize in addition to our adventuring groups. Mark, do you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it'll give a history of a little bit of that, like where they started from, the areas in Orth that they actually are at.
Yeah.
And then any interactions that they may have between any of the groups.
Absolutely, and which characters are involved in which organizations outside of just their adventuring group. A lot of people don't understand the way you can be a member of the Order of Ulick and be in an adventuring group itself. It's not like one's exclusive to the other. So if there's 12 characters in an adventuring group, maybe 4 of them are Knights of Ulick members. Because it's just because you adventure with whoever you adventure with, and not all of them have the same ethos at the end. And then Gen Con will be coming, and I'll be off that week. But I fly back the Sunday morning of Gen Con, just like I did with PAX. I'm planning on when I get back that night to do my experiences at Gen Con that Sunday night. I'm going to attempt to do that Sunday. When are you leaving, Mark? When you get there?
I will be coming back on Sunday as well, but I will not be at that Gabbin. I have a concert event to go to.
Okay, cool. So I'll be chatting it up, and that night, and just I may. I'm thinking if you play. Do you play that Monday after?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
Think so. I think you do. Okay. So that's what's going on. We got a lot of stuff. We'll be back on Thursday night, and I'm looking forward to this month is going to be great. I think Leonard will open the doors to some other people in the world of the old school. Because I can always say, hey, Leonard was on my show now. So was all we're talking with us. There's a couple other people we want to try and get after Leonard, and I think it'll really open up for everything. And thanks, everyone. Another great night, another great viewership. Anyone have any questions in the end? Mark, you have any comments about anything on this?
Just as usual, we don't really care what edition it is you play, just play. We have our favorites, of course, but we hope that what we pass on is good for others. We love sharing it, sharing our experiences and mentoring those that, are looking for ideas. And, we're just happy that, you guys could join us for the evening.
Jeff says we don't play it on the schedule the day after Gen Con, which means that if I'm running late, the Gabbin may go to Monday night that week. I just want to make sure it wasn't conflicting with you. But I want to have it on the Sunday, but it may go to the Monday. It depends on what time I get home, flight and all. I think my flight leaves at like 11 or something like that from Indianapolis to Philly, and who knows. But odds are I'll have it that Sunday night, but we'll see. So thanks, Anna. Thanks everyone who, everyone else who watched, Katana, Rocks, Chuck. Man, I really appreciate it. Dorgrim, I really appreciate the support. Taco for the gifts, subs. Thank you. Always, you can reach me at the same spot. You can always reach me, on Discord. If you're not a member of the Greyhawk channel, And I'm talking about Greyhawk Online Discord. I know there's a Greyhawk channel Discord, but we have our own for all the people who are, wheelers and shakers and Greyhawk beyond the Greyhawk channel, which is great that they have their own, but we have our own Discord. All the big people are Anna, myself, Greyhawk Mike, Grodog, Brian Blumklotz, Icarus. We're all members there. So if you want to join up and you haven't, please feel free. Like I said, anyone has any ideas, shoot me a line. I'd be more than happy to hear it out. According to Icarus, the New Earth Journal is coming out very soon. I have one article in it, and I'm looking forward to everyone. It's called The Free Swords of Greyhawk. It'll go over all our mercenary and adventuring groups in Greyhawk City, and it tells some of the things and some of the characters in it. So I'm looking forward to getting that out to everyone. All right, guys. What do you want? What do you want? Do you want Michael Baton is missing, or do you want your Reaper? Which one do you want, Mark? Your choice.
How about Michael Baton is
All
missing?
right, we'll end it with Michael Baton's missing. Go to the Miniature Building Authority and Carl tonight, guys. Thanks a lot. See you Thursday night. Yeah, this will be, Michael Baton's mission will be after Gen Con. Super high and Harvey, for what it's worth. Yes, another player character is why Michael's missing, which is even more funny. Taco, you're not on our Discord? Hold on one sec. You're on the Greyhawk channel only? Hold on. Let me see if I can get it. I'll get it for you. I gotta go to Cannon Fire on Facebook and link. Wait, one second. Give me 1 second, I'll link it in there. Oh, shit. Taco, I'm going to invite you through Discord. I'm going to invite you through Discord. Are you on Discord in the Greyhawk channel? I'll invite you. I'll link you in that and invite you. Give me a second here. Popping it up now. 'Cause I can't. For some reason, I can't get on to Facebook. All right, guys. See you soon.